Alright, so hey guys, Zeynah here, and so I just recorded a whole video with my mic muted, so that's just great. Basically, I've reinstalled my drivers to kind of try to boost my mic, and I'm pretty sure I finally made it work properly, so you guys can hear my clicks now. I believe, I hope, I don't know, I didn't test it, don't care. So I'm gonna let you know what's been going on with me for the past couple weeks and why I barely uploaded. So, as you may know, in one of my previous Elo series, I said that I'm getting a new ISP. And so this whole story started off on 25th of August, I believe. So at that point, I knew that I have my contract with my current ISP. It lasted for like another like week or two. So I called the new my new ISP a couple weeks ahead just to get them to start working on shit, so I don't have to wait too long, and so I don't have any chance of like not having internet at home. Um, So I was like, yeah, I plan on switching from Tele2 to you guys, which is A1. I don't know if they are like, I know Tele2 is outside of Croatia as well. I don't know about A1, but A1 is quote unquote Croatia's best ISP. So I expect a lot more from them. So basically, um, I contacted them like maybe 2.5 weeks prior to my other contract expiring with my other ISP, and basically. They told me, yeah, just let us know when your contract expires with Tele2, and we're gonna like start working on things. Uh, so I was like, okay. So my contract expired with Tele2, and basically, I was hoping to get optic cables installed in my house with A1, and then I would get up to like 500 down and 120 up, which would be really nice. Um, so my brother-in-law, who's lived here before me, in this house. So yeah, my brother-in-law who lived here before me said that I can 100% get optics installed and shit because he set up like whatever one like when he lived here. So like they can install it whenever optics wait, what the fuck? Dario, say goodbye to your connection. um so he told me that I can set it up, right? And on the website where you can check if it's available, it said that I don't have where it's not available for my address. And I was like, well, apparently it is. Could you like double check it, blah blah. So then they took like a week of checking. And I was like, you know what? I believe you guys more than him. So you know, if it's unavailable, then it's unavailable for now, and like we're just gonna deal with it some other time. Um, so with that being said, I canceled the request for optic cables for my ISP. And I just said, yeah, can you just transfer me to like normal cables, you know, as long as it's fucking cables and it's like Ethernet. They're like, yeah, no problem, blah blah. So they're like, yep, your request is like going through our system, and we're gonna have you back, and like we're gonna have to like install you like you know what I mean? They're gonna install my shit within like 2 to 3 weeks. So then 2 to 3 weeks later, I called them up. I'm like, hey, how's that going? You know, I give them all the info and shit like that. They're like, oh, um, well, as it turns out, something went wrong with the offer, blah blah blah. And yeah, we're gonna need to send you a new one. So I was like, so at that point, I've been waiting for like a month, and I asked them if there's any way to speed it up because I've been already waiting that long. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna write a note down, and I'm gonna say, yeah, you've been waiting for quite a while. This should be a priority for them. So with that being said, I waited like 3 more weeks since then. I called them like every Monday and every Friday to check if they can come set it up, and they're like, yeah, it's probably gonna be done this week, and that's it. Like that's all they like gave me. They're like, yeah, it's gonna be done this week most likely. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. So it wasn't done that week, obviously. And this guy's a fag, so I'm gonna steal his pot. Um, so it wasn't done that week, obviously, up until today. So today, while I was at work, they came over. My mom was home, and she let them in and shit. They were gonna set it up, but then, so they're obviously beforehand. I canceled optic cables because they weren't able. They couldn't set them up without like construction work going on, without them like drilling holes in my walls and shit. I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna do that some other time. I don't care that much. Um, so, um, so yeah, they came over. They said they can't do extra construction work, or they can't set up my shit because there needs to be like holes in the walls for them to like plug it through or whatever, which makes no sense because I had cable internet for like even before this ISP, and there should be no problems, you know, like them like working it out. So I was like, you know what? No, I've been waiting for like practically 2 months at this point, and I like that's just enough. I'm not gonna wait any longer. So I called them up again, and I told them, yeah, if they don't finish that this week, then they shouldn't even bother coming next week because I'm just not gonna deal with that. I just like that's where I just said it. I'm like, yeah, you don't need to bother coming next week. So they're like, okay, we're gonna note that down that if it's not finished this week, that you're gonna go to someone else. I'm like, yep, yeah, just write that down, please, because it matters so much what they write down. It's clearly not because I've been waiting for 2 months. But that. So yeah, after that, I ended up calling the customer care part where I need to schedule an appointment with them because they forwarded it to them and they told me, yeah, I should just call them. So they said they got the request, but now they're trying to like process it through so it can be done this week and not Tuesday next week where they want to do it. And I was like, okay. So then it occurred to me, if it says on the website, it says that it's available for my address, you know, like the cable package or whatever. So I was like, why would their website lie? Like, if anything, they can check the installations that are going inside my building. They know. So like maybe they actually forgot to cancel the optics, so maybe that's why it's delayed. And I was like, holy shit, I might get optics next week. So then I ended up calling them again to ask, you know, can you check out what package you guys give me? So they're like, yeah, we gave you the cable package. I don't know why you thought otherwise. I was like, well, it just makes perfect sense to me that you guys made another mistake, to the point where, you know, like if the website says that I don't need additional like work going on around my house, then I assume there would be no work. But then I was like, well, if there's gonna be like holes in my walls and shit, and if there's gonna be construction shit going on, then I would want to go back to optics because the only reason why I went back to cable is because I wanted to avoid this, like, you know, work around my house. So they're like, okay, yeah, you just have to contact this support team where I schedule it with them that are gonna come to my house. I was like, okay. So I called them. They're like, yeah, we can't really change your offer for you. We just get to like schedule an appointment with you. You have to call these guys. And I'm like, but they just told me to call you. They're like, yeah, we can't really do anything. I can just tell you like when they're gonna come over. I was like, okay. So do I just call them back? He's like, yeah. So I called them and they're like, well, no, we can't really do that for you because you're on cable. So you just have to call them back and just explain it to them. And keep in mind, at this point, I've talked to probably half their support team, and like half of them probably know me by my voice. So then I ended up calling the support team where I schedule an appointment again. So he ended up telling me that it turns out I have to call the other support team back, and I was like, I literally just done that like 3 times. I transferred between your support team and their support team like 3 times. They're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. Those guys are really inexperienced in what they do, so they kind of transfer you to me, even though I can't do anything. But I'm like, yeah, no shit, they're unexperienced. I'm like, the whole fucking. I didn't say that, you know, but I was thinking to myself. So he's like, okay, well, here's a phone number that they probably didn't give you. This is a better support team where they're experienced and whatnot. I was like, thank you. And I was like, wow, I might actually be getting somewhere at this point. So I ended up calling the phone number he gave me. So that was a support team for sales management. So what they do is they call you or you call them and they try to sell you their shit. So it's basically like, it's not a customer support team. It's just sales where they try to sell shit to you. You know what I mean? Like advertisement and whatnot. And they're trying to convince you that their thing is the best. So yeah, like I was saying, basically they sell you the shit on the sales support team. And I explained the whole situation to that girl or lady, whatever you want to call her, again. And she's like, well, yeah, I can't really do much here. I'm just the sales manager or whatever. And since the offer's already made, there's nothing really for me to like sell you here. I was like, yep, that's great. And she's like, yeah, you have to call the other support. And I'm like, I'm done calling you guys. Like, I'm gonna post a screenshot of the amount of fucking time I spent on talking to them. So the one where it says I'm Croatian shit. That's the what's it called? The appointment scheduling number or whatever. So at that point, I was just done with it. I told her, yeah, I'm just not gonna deal with this anymore. She said she's gonna write down a note. She's gonna call like a bunch of her colleagues to like get this settled, but I just don't think that's gonna happen So the worst part about this is that's the best ISP in Croatia, quote unquote. There's like a bunch of billboards and shit saying it that has been confirmed by people. And the worst part is I googled it and apparently that's the best ISP in Croatia, which it doesn't really make sense because their customer support has no idea what they're doing. They have no idea which team does what because clearly after being redirected at least 8 times in one day from one customer support team to another to the third, I've just at that point I just came to the conclusion because every one of them told me like different things why they transferred me and whatnot. At that point I just realized that they hire a bunch of morons who are incapable to do their job, and I just kind of lost all hope. I'm gonna end up waiting out another couple of days to see what gets handled and what doesn't. If not, I'm gonna end up transferring to a different ISP because I've went through like 4 ISPs in the last 10 years, right? And none of them were this fucking horrible of support. Like, at least they'd transfer my calls right. At least they'd end up telling me what they're gonna do and when they're gonna do it properly. They didn't drag it out for like 2 months. So this is kind of the reason why I haven't been uploading and why. Oh my lord, what the fuck? Yeah, I was just waiting for my new internet so I can actually play somewhat competitively because I'm just not that good with this internet because it's really unstable. Obviously, you can see me dicking randoms in here, and that's one thing, but then playing against known people on NA is just not really possible because I just get straight up dick down. And I just don't really have the will to deal with that every day. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna end off on this note. I'm gonna try to upload again. And yeah, uh, here was my rant on how stupid it is to live in Croatia. The best ISP is just incapable of setting up their shit on my house. So, yeah.